Meteorologist Amanda Pappas here, helping you plan out what you need to know for today with Hurricane Milton. The latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, 8 a.m. here, and it is showing us that the system has even weakened furthermore. So this is some good news. Obviously, it's undergoing what we call an eye wall replacement, meaning the system's collapsing upon itself, right? However, as it does that, it's collapsing upon itself to make room and to regenerate a new, larger and more powerful eye wall, meaning that this system is going to get larger over time. For right now, while this process happens, we typically do see a weakening period, which is good news for us, at least in the short term. Wind speeds have dropped now to 145 miles per hour. We see that pressure has actually gone up, meaning that system's weakening at 929 millibars as it is scraping by the Yucatan Peninsula, bringing them life-threatening storm surge still at this time, gusty wind, rain, and everything that you could think of, all the impacts we've been talking about that we'll eventually see here. So the system is smaller but mighty, and it's going to continue to expand and grow as it gets out over those warm Gulf waters. As it pushes over the Gulf, don't be surprised. Later today, it'll be back to a Category 5 strength. However, it'll be fighting some things before it makes landfall. We still anticipate it to make landfall as the Category 3, so that weakening will come, but that Cat 3 landfall somewhere between Wednesday at 11 p.m. up until 2 a.m. on Thursday. So this is going to be a nighttime storm for you. So right now, you still have time to get out. You still have time to evacuate. You need to evacuate if you are in an evacuation zone right now, and by tonight, get in your safe spot where you're going to ride out the storm, and make sure you have all your supplies that you need in your kit when you're going to that place. Now, we do see that the system, once it's cut off from its energy source, it'll push over and cross over to the other side of the state, meaning that this is not just a storm that'll be impacting the West Coast, it impacts the East Coast as well, with rain and wind, just not as serious of an impact as we will be receiving here on the West Coast. But it does disintegrate back down to a Cat 1, and then it'll push out into the Atlantic long term. That's heading into later on this weekend. Hurricane Milton models, computer models, still showing us somewhat of a spread right here, but definitely impact for the west coast of Florida, including us here in Tampa Bay. Now, the farther south that this system actually makes landfall, the better off we'll be, because we'll see less of that storm surge. We'll be on the northern side of the storm, which would mean the not dirty side of it. However, the farther north that it travels, we would see more impacts, greater surge. So we're hoping that these models and this system can shift a little more south. So those wobbles are still important at this time, but the overall track has not changed with this latest advisory, and the overall impacts have not changed either. So this is the actual current look at where the National Hurricane Center thinks this system will make landfall. The line right here cutting into Manatee County right now, and the greatest storm surge risk would be just south of that landfall, right? So I'm talking to you in Bradenton, Sarasota, Port Charlotte, this whole entire area, Manatee, Sarasota County, you need to evacuate. Now, we do see that that storm surge could be potentially 10 to 15 feet. So that's life-threatening, that is dangerous, and it's deadly. So we need you to move. Now, one key piece of good news this morning is, yes, it's weakening, number one. Number two, even if it does get back to Cat 5 strength, by the time it makes landfall, do you see all this blue? We love to see it. It is wind shear. Wind shear, tropical systems do not mix. They're like oil and water. So what happens with this wind shear, it helps to topple over and basically debilitate the storm as it tries to make landfall along our coast. So that is why we anticipate it to weaken to Cat 3 by the time it makes landfall early Thursday morning. Take a look at future track overlaid with our actual track from the Hurricane Center. Now, our actual in-house model has been doing really good in terms of where it wants to put this system. So you can see that that landfall potentially, this is already 3 a.m. and the system's already moving into our area. So we are going to see that landfall throughout those evening hours, overnight hours. It'll be dark. This is going to be another one of those systems, so keep that in mind. But the major key impact with this system for us, especially if it does end up making landfall a little farther north, is the storm surge, because we see those winds, especially the right side of the system, those winds push in from the southwest. That piles up a ton of water and pushes up all of that water into our area. So all the red that you see, this is our inundation map. This is how much the area could be flooded. So potentially getting a zoomed in look for you. I know people that live in Davis Islands. This is our home, our friends, our family, our churches, everything that we know and love. I want you guys to stay safe. So look at this. If you've been a little nervous about evacuating, thinking about it, your anxiety is going up, you still have time to get out, because look at how much we could see in terms of water, up to 12 feet. I live over here by this area. You can see the MacDill Air Force Base. Up to 12 feet of water could be there. And that's including Davis Islands in that red shading too, along with Progress Village there, Gibsonton, Adamsville right there, right along the water. Those are the areas that are really at risk in terms of storm surge. And over towards Pinellas County, the Gandy, where our station is, we are going to be evacuating because we could be seeing up to 12 feet of water. That could even put our station underwater, realistically. So we're taking this seriously just as much as you need to at this time. Now we see Boca Ciega, not a place you want to be. Tierra Verde, we really want to move you out today. You need to be leaving. You need to evacuate if you're in any of these areas. 12 feet. I don't think you guys understand how high that is. That can pick up a grand piano and slam it into a wall. That water is not going to come in gently either. It would gush in, it would rush into your home and completely take it out, and that would be leveling down that home or that property down to the foundation. I've seen it before with Hurricane Ian and Oldsmar, another area that we want you to evacuate because you could be seeing up to, again, 12 feet. And also over towards Jasmine Estates, Newport Richey, we see all that flooding possible, along with portions of Fox Lee there, Bradenton, Anna Maria. This system would be cutting just to the north of you there, or just over you potentially, so you could see some serious surge, along with Sarasota, Gulfgate Estates. These are places that we know and love, including Siesta Key. This is going to be a catastrophic event. Storm surge to a magnitude we've never seen before in our lifetime. We haven't seen a strong impact and a strong storm like this in over 100 years, 103 to be exact. So if this does come to fruition, look at this. This system is going to hit us like nothing has in the past. That's why we want you to take it seriously. We are going to make it through. We're going to be here with you every step of the way, but we need you to cooperate. We need you to leave. You can see over towards Englewood, Placida, Port Charlotte. These are the areas I used to cover as well. My previous market, we saw these areas be hit by Hurricane Ian in 2022. You guys remember this. So please, storm surge is the #1 killer with any tropical system. So I need you to take it seriously. If you're in any of these areas, you should be evacuating. You need to be evacuating, and you need to get in your safe spot by tonight. So let's talk more about impacts, not just storm surge, but we're also seeing that those winds are going to be winds that we've never seen before, a magnitude so strong that we've never felt before in our lifetimes. So winds up to 115, even 120 miles per hour. The rainfall for Pinellas and Hillsborough County, you're getting really close to where this is making landfall, right? So the storm surge could be 11 to 15 feet and 8 to 15 inches of rainfall. This is going to be some catastrophic freshwater flooding along with coastal flooding as well. The surge, again, going to be the worst just south of the eye. So what you need to know at this point is that you have to heed all of these evacuation orders, please. Again, the timing for these impacts is going to be starting up Wednesday at 6 p.m. That's when things really begin to go downhill. Isolated tornadoes are possible too, up until 6 a.m. Thursday morning. Manatee and Sarasota, look at this, guys. We see that 4 p.m. till 4 a.m. on Thursday, potentially even a little bit longer than that. We have those winds topping at 110 miles per hour. Rainfall could be up to 10 inches. Storm surge could be the greatest right here because this would be just south of where landfall is supposed to be. We anticipate that landfall over towards Anna Maria, just north of Bradenton there. So just south of the eye of the storm, that would be the worst surge at 11 to 15 feet. So you need to heed all the evacuation warnings at this time. Water vapor imagery. I want to show you guys another thing. The one key piece of positive news we've been talking about is the wind shear and also the dry air. So here's the dry air itself to our north. You can see all of the orange here. This is the system, and you can see it's a Category 4 strength. It's undergoing the eye wall replacement. It's reorganizing itself. So as it gradually travels to our coast and tries to make landfall, this dry air is going to come on down from the north, and that's going to help to cut off this system a little bit and to weaken it as well. And so that's exactly what we want to see. However, we can't focus in on exactly what category it'll be because the wind field is so large with this system, very similar to Helene. There's going to be a lot of wind damage damage with this system. So once that eye wall replacement happens, you get a brand new system that's going to be bigger, wider, and more powerful, right? So the eye wall, right, it comes in, it regenerates itself. And so the wind field that we talk about, these are all the winds around the system, and they become much wider and much stronger as well. So we're going to see a lot of damage with these winds too. And that's for the entire state, not just for here on the West Coast. Again, they're going to be impacted by these windy conditions and all this rain as well over towards the East Coast too. Now, what we do know with a lot of these systems is that we could have the potential for isolated tornadoes that I alluded to before in the impacts. So here we go. We already see that low end risk starting Wednesday for the isolated tornadoes, Thursday as well, as we will be receiving those bands of rain and wind. That's where those isolated tornadoes could be located. Look at the graph as well, showing us our in-house model that this wind is no joke moving in. And these are just the sustained winds. These are not even the gusts, the highest of the winds, but already showing 60 to 70 miles per hour. And those gusts could be well over 100 miles per hour. Rainfall, what you can expect for our area, anywhere from 10 to 15 inches even is possible. Most of us will see anywhere from 8 to about 12. Isolated pockets, 15 inches of rainfall. So right now, what I need you to do is take these evacuation warnings seriously. They are mandatory for a reason. Please, you have time to get out right now and to make sure you get in your safe spot by tonight. Now, once you figure out where your safe spot is, where you're going to ride out the storm, before you get there and set up shop, make sure you have everything in your kit and everything that you need. Today, we want to charge up all your devices, have your portable chargers on you, battery-powered fans, another great option. Check your kit for all of your documents, important things that you need, your medications. You want to make sure that if you can find any gas, it's scarce, but it's out there. Make sure you gas up while you can. Stock up on the water, and then make those last-minute preps to your home, and then you gotta go. You need to evacuate. So guys, for now, that is all I have for you. We're going to continue to give you this special coverage. We're going to be here for you every single step of the way, myself and the rest of the 10 Tampa Bay weather team. We're watching the system carefully. We're going to give you the latest on everything that you need to know, but now is the time to take action and evacuate in this moment in time. And we have a special edition of 10 Tampa Bay this morning coming up at 9 a.m. where we will investigate and dissect the storm even more so and tell you the exact timing of everything you need to know. And we'll continue to keep you informed, prepared, connected, calm, and most of all safe.